Ryan and I tied the knot for 4 days. Exactly. Upon arriving in Bali for our dreamy honeymoon, Oro, our personal guide, warmly greeted us. It was an exclusive offer from the resort to ensure we explored the best spots. Oro, fluent in English and well acquainted with the region, initially seemed fine, but his lingering gazes at me were unsettling. However, with Ryan by my side, I shrugged it off. As we strolled down a trail from the famous sunset viewpoint, Toro eagerly suggested, "I've got the perfect hidden spot for you. You'll love it. Exclusive and it's truly romantic, barely known to many, and offers a breathtaking moonlit view," he promised. Ryan's face lit up with excitement. "What do you think, Mia?" I paused, unsure. "Maybe we should stick to the main beaches." "Come on, honey, it's our honeymoon," Ryan persuaded. "Let's do something adventurous." Oro nodded, with enthusiasm. Yes, very sure, I'd take a lot of couples there. He constantly explained. How much said. Place was quiet and secluded, almost as if it were. We sold the idea, a little too insistently, but Ryan was already taking it. His device, photo and not wanting to. Prude I have accepted. We followed Oro on a narrow path that was moving away from resort and Des, other tourists lying down on the main beach. The further we went, the quieter everything became. We arrived at a place where everything was completely silent, except for the sound of the waves and our footsteps on the rocky ground. Oro entered, already in the cave, making us sign of it. "Come on now, follow along, keep moving forward." Very nice too. Inside, trust me. I wasn't doing him, but Ryan was already in and I could not just give it up. It's still far, very close, just a little more. The road was narrowing. Ryan was in front of me, filming, all with his phone. I kept my unwavering gaze on Oro's back, observing every time he glanced over his shoulder to confirm we were still trailing him. A wave of dread surged through me as the cave entrance began to reveal itself. It smelled of salt and something rotten, as if a corpse lay in it and no one had ever removed it. The smell hit me so hard that my heart sank. The farther we went, the darker the darkness thickened. Only our phones illuminated, casting shadows on the damp walls. It's pretty far. I can't even see the sky anymore. Forget the moon. Ryan, I'm not joking. Let's get out of here immediately. Before me, going back, I heard metal scrape it. Pierre, I turned around just in time to see Oro hit Ryan in the head with a lamp. The crack was brutally. Ryan collapsed like a stone, thong clanging on wet floor. I screamed when Oro threw himself on. He grabbed my wrist and forcefully pulled me closer. His breath, hot and sour, invaded my space. His grip left bruises as he shoved me against the wall with ill intent. "You are exceptionally beautiful, don't you think?" Now the shock had worn off. I have been practicing mixed martial arts for 8 years. I started at 20. I kept going even when they said it was useless. Ryan joked that I could kick his ass if I wanted to. He wasn't kidding. I hit him on the top of the head, twisted his wrist and slammed him to the ground violently. His evil smile faded from his face. It seemed rather shocked and scared. While he attempted to rise, I gave no opening. My kicks targeted his stomach, each landing with ferocity. I could feel his ribs cracking and saw blood spewing from his mouth. He stumbled backward, clutching his chest, pleading for mercy. I didn't relent and ensured he couldn't rise. His knee, of all my forces, the bone has cracked, and Oro screamed in excruciating pain. His leg was bent at an odd angle, revealing a pretty bloody vision. I stayed there, shaking with blood all over my hands and dress. Torn then. Ryan gave only silent groans, his pain etched deep but unvoiced. Desperation drove me to his side. Blood flowed along her face. His eyes were haggard. I put it on. "Get up." Slipping into the role of his support, I slung his arm around my shoulders, becoming his lifeline. Each step was a grueling challenge, his weight pressing down, but determination fueled me. Together we stumbled from the cave, traversing the desolate path below. My body felt frail, limbs like fragile threads, chest a furnace of exertion, yet I pressed on. Against my shoulder, Ryan murmured unintelligible phrases, his form slumping further in our quake-like strides. As soon as we arrived at the main beach, I shouted for assistance. Security quickly responded, rushing over to help, taking Ryan and calling for reinforcement. Exhausted, I collapsed beside him, gasping as I tried to narrate what happened. What had happened? Past 2 agents off. Security dashed into the cave while the others stayed behind, bombarding us with questions I could scarcely respond to. The police later found Oro in the cave, unconscious and severely injured. Broken bones. With critical injuries, they immediately arrested him. Turns out he had a history of harassment towards women, but like the owner of the resort was his cousin, they closed their eyes. The resort reimbursed us. He didn't stop apologizing, even going as far as offering us a complimentary honeymoon redo. We declined and returned home the following day. People frequently inquire about our honeymoon experience, and we recount the entire story. That it was great, we show them some pictures of beaches on the first day, we smile and we change the subject. We don't talk about the cave or orals, but sometimes late at night, Ryan touches the scar on his head and me ask what. After the shocking incident, I tried to support and help him through it. Tell the truth about how I defended myself. He is grateful that I was able to defend myself, and regretting the dismissal of instinct. He now fully understands its infallible nature and reliability. Just like my ideas have been steadily growing in clarity since Lily's mother left us 2 years ago. It's just the two of us. I work 60 hours a week in a distribution center, so I have to barely time to see my daughter then when my boss granted me a long weekend. I just tossed our stuff in the car and drove 3 hours up. Clearwater Beach. It was beautiful to see my little girl's face light up as soon as she saw the ocean. Lily exuberantly spent the entire afternoon post-1200 sprinting up and down the shoreline, gleefully chasing the waves and crafting sandcastles resembling charming heaps of wet sand under my watchful eye from the comfort of our laid-out towel. In this picturesque moment, a visibly expecting woman, seemingly on the brink of giving birth, emerged. She donned a flowing floral dress gently draping over her prominent belly, completed with casual sandals and an air of peaceful expectancy. His hat's on a wide edge. It is beautiful. How old is she? The woman smiled warmly and motherly. 6 years. Oh, I'm expecting a girl too. She stroked his belly. I congratulated him with a polite smile. Elle approached. Lily, always joyfully playing in the shallow water, looked radiant in her perfect summer dress. Her thick, shiny hair added to her charm. Aren't you, my darling, the most perfect size? I couldn't help but admire her beauty. Something in his way of it, saying sounded wrong. I watched him more closely now. She was wearing. Her face was so heavily laden with makeup that it was difficult to imagine her natural features. Something felt amiss. I decided to leave and told Lily to follow me, but the woman interjected hurriedly. Oh, don't leave yet. She positioned herself between me and Lily before I could react, bypassing me to reach my daughter. My darling, come here for just a moment, she said with an unsettling tone. Want to tell you something? Lily raised them, eyes confused but curious. As she began her deliberate stride toward the woman, every instinct within me erupted in warning, prompting me into rapid action. I quickly joined Lily and ensured I positioned myself protectively between them. She actually does. We're running terribly late for dinner. Come along now, Leela, without any delay. The woman's smile did not fade, but her eyes became cold. Just a minute. I'm not gonna steal it. We really have to go, I say, firmly eye him. We turned our backs just 2 seconds to pick up our beach bag. When I heard Lily screaming, I turned to see the woman running to the boardwalk carrying Lily by the waist. Lily, without a second thought, I abandoned everything I was holding and ran. For the pregnant woman was dashing like an Olympic sprinter, deftly maneuvering through groups, practically dragging poor Lily, who resembled nothing more than a ragdoll caught in a wake. My daughter was crying, trying to escape, but the woman's grip was off. Do I have something? There were people screaming for help, but most remained frozen. Some took out their phones to film as they raced toward the parking lot. My heart stopped. If she put Lily in a car, I'd never see my daughter again. Stop there. The woman glanced back and for a moment, our eyes met. She was smiling triumphantly. Then she turned around, running even harder. Quickly, my chest seemed to explode. My vision shifted. Blurred, but I have continued running. She was about 6 milliseconds from the entrance, from the parking lot, when a lifeguard got in his way. Ma'am, stop. The woman did not obey. She tried to push him, but he grabbed his arm. Another rescuer appeared to the side, blocking his escape. The woman twisted violently, hissing like a cornered animal, still holding Lily's wrist. I joined them a second later, snatching Lily from her embrace. She has buried her face in my chest, sobbing, "Are you okay, baby? I got you. I'm here." The woman struggled against the lifeguards, screaming and writhing as if possessed. Other beach workers arrived, holding her until the sirens sounded. The police arrived quickly. 2 officers arrested the woman while a third questioned me. A policeman approached and reached for his belly. She screamed as he pulled out a knife and cut the cloth. The dress fell. What I saw turned my stomach. Instead of a pregnancy belly, she had fixed a false silicone belly. Underneath, her belly was thin and dry. Then the officer grabbed her hair and removed the wig. Little by little, they removed only his disguise until revealing his true face. Suddenly, a sense of urgency came over me. The policeman exchanged a look and made a phone call. "He's the traffic scout," he whispered to his colleague. I felt like I was going to throw up. It wasn't a helpless pregnant woman, but a child kidnapper named Butch, already wanted. I couldn't speak. I just held Lily tighter. Feeling his heart beating against mine, they arrested him and took him away, handcuffed. I gave my statement, answered every question, and then carried Lily to our hotel room. She didn't let go of me all night. We left the next morning. Lily hasn't been the same since. She doesn't sleep well. She refuses to leave unless I hold her hand. Her cries wake her at the thought of the evil woman returning. I warned her not to swim. A single misstep or prolonged glance away could have led to her loss. Daily, I reflect on this and on other parents who weren't so fortunate. The beach is no longer an option for us. I don't take him to crowded places anymore. I keep it close to me because I now know that monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like a pregnant woman with a nice smile, 2 fingers away from stealing everything you like to look like. Camp Redwood was heavy with humidity that night, weighing on my skin like a damp blanket. Everyone slept in the cabins, but my best friend Brian had that mischievous twinkle in his eyes, the one that always foretold trouble. "Come on, Stephen, let's go see if the girls are still awake." The wooden planks creaked under our feet as we put on our shoes. "You just want to see Madison in her pajamas?" Lick teasingly, masking my nervousness with a smile. "Snish, let's leave now." Through the window, rather than risk the creaking door landing gently on the pine needles. The night smelled of campfire ash and the earthy smell of the lake. The crickets sang in rhythm with our footsteps as we made our way through the woods. The girls' cabin was visible through the trees when Brian suddenly grabbed my arm, his fingers digging into my skin. "Dude, look at by the lake." A figure moved slowly in the moonlight. Mrs. Ritter, our instructor, dragging something heavy along the dirt path. She was tall and looked strangely like a wrapped body in burlap. "What is it?" I breathed, my heart beating against mine. "It's ribs, my friend." That truly sounded like a body. Brian whispered shakily, his voice trembling. We crouched nervously behind a massive oak tree, barely daring to exhale. Mrs. Ritter, who had earlier shared her radiant smile while handing out marshmallows, now dragged the bag steadily toward the water's edge, repeating the motion over and over. But as she struggled to throw the bag into the lake, the frayed surface gave way and a pale hand emerged, clawing desperately at the loose fabric. Chilled to my core, I watched as Rosie, the camp assistant monitor, came into focus, emerged, panting. His face bore streaks of muck and what disturbingly resembled blood. Fear sparked wildly behind his dilated eyes. Reacting without hesitation, Mrs. Ritter pressed her hand over Rosie's mouth, restraining her fiercely and forcing her back down. Rosie's legs were thrashing violently, her screams muffled, barely audible over the lapping. "What the hell? We have to do something," I whispered, my mouth dry as a bone. "Don't do that. He'll see us." Brian squeezed my wrist, holding me back, but I couldn't stand there and watch. Rosie's eyes were bulging, her fingernails digging into Mrs. Ritter's arms in vain. Without thinking, I grabbed a rock and threw it into the lake. The splash echoed over the whole expanse of water. Mrs. Ritter suddenly raised her head. Her eyes narrowed as she scanned the water. Edge of trees. Rosie collapsed into the wet mud, coughing her lungs out. But ominously, Mrs. Ritter's sharp gaze detected us in the distance. No more than a shifting shadow of awareness was all it took. Rising deliberately while steadying herself, she tilted her head with a haunting smirk and said in a dispassionately crisp tone, "Shouldn't you boys not have ventured here? I didn't want to take Rosie's life." I swear I didn't want to, but she made me. She's the one who forced me. The moment after her, we leapt towards our concealed spot, maneuvering frantically through the dense thicket, bypassing the emergency exit and heading straight to Blue's cabin. Blake screamed. Brian over his. I could hear Mrs. Ritter behind us. Getting closer, at a speed, supernatural ordering us. The shadows of the forest danced like blurred specters, merging with the lashing branches that stung my face as we pressed forward. Now, had almost succeeded, when suddenly Brian's foot got caught in a root and he fell heavily. "Get up, I have," screamed Half. Door before that. Brian was unable to get up as Mrs. Ritter pinned him down and slammed a rock on his head with a loud crack. Disgusting he is. I froze instantly as everything collapsed. Could it have been a mistake? Something hit the back of my head, rendering everything dark. I woke up later, my skull pounding with pain. Brian, lying opposite me, had his mouth filled with dirt, his hands tightly tied, blood clotted in his hair, his glassy eyes open. Near him, Mrs. Ritter dug rhythmically into the earth with a shovel, her voice humming a melody faintly reminiscent of a song, lullaby. "You know," she said with a hint of sarcasm, not lifting her eyes from her work. "I had no intention of hurting anyone." She drove the shovel into the soil and finally turned in our direction, her bloodshot, haunted eyes piercing. "But it was Rosie," she explained. "Rosie pushed for it. She tempted my husband. I had given this girl everything. A place. Here she threw it right in my face. Stephen, I simply couldn't let her continue her actions." Mrs. Ritter knelt before me, pleading, "I'm deeply sorry. You shouldn't have been accountable for his mistake, but now that you've seen, retribution is inevitable." The gleam of the rusty knife against the moonlight was chilling. When it touched my cheek, blood trickled warmly down. With frantic eyes, I searched for salvation until I spotted him, half buried where he'd fallen. "Please," I begged, inching closer to fate. "Please, I truly don't want this to be my end." "It will soon be over, my dear one." My trembling fingers tightened around the handle with determination. A quick cut in the rope gave way without hesitation. I threw myself at Madame. Ritter lunged at her from behind. Her scream pierced the air as we lunged into chaotic confrontation. The floor, but I crushed his face. Against the ground, ringing it a moment run, I shouted, cutting the ties off. "Brian, we're staggering." Through the woods les, branches squeezing it. Our faces? "Behind us, ma'am." Ritter was making bestial cries that resonated between them. The trees rushed past at an alarming pace, with the illumination of Lake's lights drawing nearer with astonishing speed. Appeared in front, greet him at only a few meters, but Mrs. Ritter grabbed Brian's ankle, pulling him violently to the ground. Without thinking, I grabbed a metal lantern from the porch, and I struck her with all my might, and she received it. Right in the face. The glass broke, he in, cutting the cheek. Her scream of pain was cut off when the door of the hut opened and Mr. Blake came out. Eyes wide in front of the stage. "What the hell is going on?" we have shouted for help as he tackled Mrs. Ritter, immobilizing his body, who struggled until, when police arrived at dawn, emergency services confirmed that Rosie had survived. Though bruised, battered, and deeply shaken, Brian and I found strength to huddle together beneath layers of blankets, shock our hands still shaking out of control. Rosie throat, bruised and labored breathing, she held out her hand weakly to mine. "You saved me," she whispered, her voice barely audible.